Welcome, everyone, to the final race of the Daytona Speedway Offshore Grand Prix, part of the 2001 APBA Pro Series, coming to you from beautiful Daytona Beach, Florida. This is Vince Lopari on behalf of Jeff Girardi and the rest of the Freeze Frame Video production crew. This is the first national event for the APBA in this 2001 racing season. Now, the dry pits are inside the Daytona International Speedway infield. The wet pits are down by the new Smyrna Beach. Over 80 boats in all in this event here this weekend in classes Supercat, the Super V, Supercat Light, Super V Light, Factory 1 and 2, Outlaw A and B, Outlaw V, and all the performance classes. Now, this morning we had the Supercat Light and Factory 2. The winners in Factory 2 was Team Virgin, and in Supercat Light it was Team Yahoo. This afternoon it will be the Supercat and the Super V. Now, this event is also part of the Force Series, which is presented by the OPBRA. And the races include St. Cloud, of course, which we had last weekend. Of course, also Daytona this weekend, and Fort Myers and Holiday Isle later this year. Everyone running in these races is running for the Gold Cup Offshore points. Now, the APBA officials include President Michael Allweiss, Dee Kimes, Chief Scorer, Jim Poplin for Medical and Safety Director, Gary King, and Carrie Rasmussen for Logistics. Now, some of the sponsors for this event this weekend, as well as the 2001 racing season, include American Express, Baja, Cigarette, Don Q Cristal, Formula Racing, Hustler, Kinetics, Freeze Frame Video, Daytona USA, Liberty Coach, Lucas Oil Products, Mercury Racing, MRO Motor Racing, also Snap-on, Sunoco, Yanmar Diesel Mastery Engine Center, and Vortec Engines. Now, there are many other APBA national races this year, and of course, Freeze Frame Video will be at every single one of them, including the one in Fort Myers, Corpus Christi, Texas, Sarasota, Cleveland, Ohio, Ontario, Canada, Baltimore, Maryland, New York City, of course, the National Championships in St. Petersburg, and the World Championships in Key West. Now, the competitors for this final race this afternoon include, first off, in Super V, we've got The Muscle, Pier 57 Fountain, Willcraft Conseco Scarab, Zentix Lake Cumberland, and Shockwave. In Supercat Blue Lightning Marine, Team Yahoo, Big Thunder Racing, Can Do, Tommy Bahama, Team Virgin, Extreme Carlos and Charlie's, Pier 57 Q, and Lake Cumberland. Now, Freeze Frame Video will be present, as we said, in every APBA national race this year. We've got 17 onboard cameras for you for this event this weekend. And the cameras for this final race this afternoon, we've got cameras on board Team Yahoo, Tommy Bahama, 2 on Big Thunder Marine, 2 on Blue Lightning, and a camera on Wellcraft Conseco Scarab, as well as a camera on Carlos and Charles. Great place to have these dry pits right here at the Daytona International Speedway, where a lot of competitors and spectators, just about anybody that wanted to, was able to take some laps in these race cars around the Speedway. There's Team Yahoo, got a checkered flag this morning at Supercat Light with Jim and Jones and Curtis Morris. Team Yahoo. There's Don Q Cristal. Beautiful skies here in Daytona. Lake Cumberland took a second place this morning in Factory 2. Craft, Conseco Scarab. There's Team Virgin, took a checkered flag in Factory 2 this morning. All right, very shortly we will be airborne to bring you this final race here. This Daytona Speedway Offshore Grand Prix coming to you from Daytona Beach. First national event for the APBA. All right, as you can see the parade lap. Boats taking the parade lap before this final race, the third race here at Daytona Beach. And the beautiful Daytona Beach. Skies are a little cloudy for the race. All right, we're going to have now the Supercat and the Super V in this third and final race. Water's gotten even rougher, if you can believe that, from this morning where we had very choppy waters. A little more so this afternoon as we saw the iron smoke, meaning we are just really a few moments away from the beginning of this race. And we're going to go with the Supercat and the Super V, and the boat's now beginning to go out behind the pace boat. We've got in Supercat, for instance, is Lake Cumberland, Don Q, Pier 57, Extreme Carlos and Charlie's, Blue Lightning Marine, Team Yahoo, Big Thunder Racing, Cat Can Do, Tommy Bahama. And as they all line up behind the pace boat, we're going to go with the Supercat start. Here's the pace boat on the far outside. Yellow flag is out, waiting for the green. Boats continue to spread out, waiting for the green flag. All right, the lineup as we see it, there's Yahoo and Tommy Bahama, Big Thunder Marine, Carlos and Charlie's, and Drambuie on ice. We're going to go on board now. Carlos and Charles.
All right, we're doing good, Dan. Hold your position. Cat Captain's the only one on the inside of us. Okay. Cat Candy's gonna jump the fucking starter. Let's get up there. Go, go! Nice straight, Dan.
Drambuie on ice on the right side. On board Team Yahoo now. Tommy Bahama. And we got the lineup and the green flag in this third and final race here at the Daytona Speedway Offshore Grand Prix. And it's Don Q on the inside, then Yahoo, Drambuie on ice, Tommy Bahama, and Carlos and Charlie. Yahoo there you can see in the middle of the screen, your early leader, Yahoo. Tommy Bahama and Drambuie on the outside. Rough waters here in Daytona Beach in this final race. Even rougher than this morning. Yahoo, your early leader. Jump there for Yahoo, and then coming on the outside, we got Tommy Bahama and Drambuie on ice, and Carlos and Charlie's right behind. There's a Yahoo on the inside. Tommy Bahama and Drambuie on ice on the outside. All right, Tommy Bahama's a 40-foot Marine Technology. Paul Nemchoff is the driver. Randy Sissom is the throttle man. Tommy Bahama on the inside. Trampoline on ice on the outside in the early moments of this race here, the third and final one here in Daytona Beach. And as you can see, first and second place are both marine technology boats. Trampoline on ice and Tommy Bahama on the inside. Coming to the picture now is Carlos and Charlie's. Carlos and Charlie's right in the middle. Carlos and Charlie's, Jack Carmody and Dan Jackson aboard, 42-foot skater. So it's Trampoline on ice, Carlos and Charlie's, and on the inside it's Tommy Bahama. Battle here in the early moments of this race in Supercat. All right, aboard Trampoline on ice, Hugh Fuller and John Donaldson. Montana 100 Motorsports, the owner of Trampoline on ice. Carlos and Charlie's are on the outside. Carlos and Charlie's, 42-foot skater, Jack Carmody and Dan Jackson aboard. Carlos and Charlie's in the lead right now, number one in Supercat.
Okay. Slow down, stay in clean water, Dan. Yep. I'm going to win it right here.
Right after
clean
the start.
Water. Slow down. Slow down. Don't get in it yet. You're going to straighten up first. Okay. Whoa. Okay.
Nice driving there by Mr. Jack Carmody. Jackson's rivalry.
I'm going to take that pin away from Tommy Bahama. Where's he at? Watch it move. You're really going to slow down here, Dan. Come on, going up, going up, going up. You stay on.
Back to helicopter shot. Carlos and Charlie's on the inside. Trampoline on ice on the outside. A real battle here in Supercat. Tommy Bahama right behind there.
Right there. Yep, go. Good job, Dan. Good job.
Back to helicopter shot. Carlos and Charlie's, Jack Carmody and Dan Jackson. 42-foot skater. Prix Video Productions would like to thank them for helping us transport our equipment. There's Team Yahoo coming to the picture. Team Yahoo on a terror run. Just listen to those Merc Cruiser power plants. Jamin Jones and Curtis Morris, driver and throttle man for Team Yahoo. Yahoo and Carlos and Charlie. Yahoo won this morning's race. Yahoo powered by Mercury. On board Yahoo. At the first turn. Shaman Jones at the wheel. Just listen to those Mercury power plants. Rambo and Eyes on the right side, Carlos and Charlie's on the left side. Carlos and Charlie's on the right. All right, back to our helicopter shot. Carlos and Charlie's. And Yahoo. Yahoo #1 right now, your leader in Supercat. Yahoo cranking around the course. 40-foot skid. Curtis Mars at throttle doing a fine job. All right, looking downfield here is Carlos and Charlie's, and Drambuie and Don Q coming up very quickly. But your leader is Yahoo, #1 in Supercat. Drambuie on the outside, Carlos and Charlie's on the inside, both coming up, battling for second place. Drambuie on the outside. We got Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson aboard, driver and throttle man. 39-foot marine technology, Sterling powered. Sponsored Drambuie on ice. Boat owned by Gary Montano and Randy Hartman. Randy Hartman is the owner of Lake Cumberland Marine in Somerset, Kentucky. Carlos and Charlie's and Drambuie on ice battling here for second place in Supercat. Don Q coming up quickly. Yahoo is #1 right now, your leader in Supercat. Drambuie on ice. Boat professionally rigged by John Tomlinson's TNT Custom Marine. Drambuie on ice, of course, the sponsor, and Randy Sissom is designer of marine technology boats. Carlos and Charlie's coming up on the inside. These boats are trading places. Of course, the partners are Randy Hartman and Gary Montano, the partners who own Drambuie on ice on the outside. Drambuie on ice and Carlos and Charlie's in a real battle here in Supercat. Nice jump there by Drambuie on ice. Choppy waters here in Daytona Beach. On board Carlos and Charlie's. Rough waters here in Daytona. Jack Carmody at the wheel.
That hurt. Damn, I think I pulled a muscle in my back that time.
You okay?
I don't know. We'll see.
These guys are hurting. Very choppy waters here in Daytona. Carlos and Charlie's in second place in Supercat. There's Don Q. Chris Dahl coming up quickly. Don Q. Don Q is a 40-foot skater. Sterling powered. Pat Patel is the driver. Felix Morales is the throttle man. Don Q. All right, coming into the picture now is Pier 57, a 42-foot Bout Marine Technology. Pier 57, David Woods, the driver. Art Lilly is a throttle man. Bobby Moore, the crew chief. And of course, we got Don Q and then Carlos and Charlie's on the far outside. Real battle here in Supercat. Pier 57. Special thanks to Reggie Fountain, Marcia Witt, Carol Price, and also Scotty, Bill, and William, and Jeff and Chris for practice. Drambuie on ice on the far outside. So it's Carlos and Charlie's, Drambuie, Don Q, and Pier 57. Great battle here in Supercat. Yahoo is still #1 in Supercat. Carlos and Charlie's and Don Q. jump there by Don Q. Choppy waters here in Daytona Beach. Third and final race of this first national event in the APBA. Of course, Freeze Frame Video Production certainly proud to be a part of it. Pier 57 coming up. Pier 57 as they go around the turn, and the Drambuie on ice a little bit farther back. John Q and Carlos and Charlie's up ahead, and then you got Yahoo in first place. Pier 57 coming up on the outside. They just keep jockeying for position. And of course, Drambuie on ice on the outside. Drambuie on ice. Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson. Of course, Gary Montano and Randy Hartman, the owners of Drambuie on ice. There's Don Q on the left side. Don Q with Pat Patel and Felix Sorales, driver and throttle man. And there's Tommy Bahama now going by in sixth place in Supercat. A great race here in Supercat. Possibly the best we've ever seen. All right, coming up is Team Virgin. Team Virgin with Todd Clinworth and Tress Martin. It's a 39-foot Sism. Team Virgin. Now, Tress Martin, national world champion throttle man, has been racing offshore for 14 years. This is in Davie, Florida. And Todd Clinworth, second year of offshore racing in St. Croix, Virgin Islands. Crew chief is Steve Lopez. He's no stranger to offshore racing, been around the offshore circuit for several years. And of course, crew includes Chris Hanley from Fort Lauderdale, and Robin Martin, the team manager, and wife of Tress, owner of Martin Offshore. Both is rigged at Martin Offshore in Fort Lauderdale. Sponsors include Spy Eyewear and No Fear. Boat powered by Mercury, by the way. Virgin Racing's other boat, the F2 boat, won this one. Just listen to those Mercury power plants. Doc Pinworth and Tress Martin, driver and throttle man, team version. Tommy Bahama. Oh, fine. Rambouillet on ice. They're up ahead on the outside. Tommy Bahama and Team Virgin. Oh, there's Yahoo in the infield. Apparently, they've had some sort of problem, so they are out of the race at this point. So there's been a lot of changing of the lead in Supercat. We've had Don Q leading, Pier 57, Carlos and Charlie's. So they've been really jockeying for position. Now, we thought the race last year in St. Petersburg was really good. We really feel that this one blows it away. This one is even better. Yahoo seems to be back in the race. Somehow they've gotten back in, though they are going somewhat slower. Big Thunder Marine is also going slow. Big Thunder Marine, a 40-foot skater. Lauren Lytle and Bob Morton Ford, driver and throttle man. Big Thunder Racing. There's Yahoo on the outside. Big Thunder Racer. Lauren Lytle and Robert Morgan. Shockwave on the outside. Shockwave. There's Zentic's Lake Cumberland Marine, a 39-foot fountain. Mercury-powered wide fountain is the driver. Jeff Harris is the throttle man. The owners of this motor are Zentic's and Lake Cumberland Marine, professionally rigged by Victory Rigging of St. Louis. Reggie Fountain is the builder. Designer Zentic's of Seattle, Washington. This is a brand new Reggie Fountain designed single canopy race version of Fountain Powerboat's popular 42 Lightning sport boat. The newest production from the Fountain stable incorporates all of Fountain's V-bottom technology to date. Benji Brooks, the crew chief. As we said, White Fountain is the driver. Jeff Harris is the throttle man. All right, Zentic's Lake Cumberland, top of the pack in Super V. By the way, Lake Cumberland has two other boats. Of course, it's got the Grand Buoy on ice. Right now, doing very well in Supercat. And of course, the F2 boat this morning took a second place. Three boats in all for Lake Cumberland. Jeff Harris and White Fountain. There's Carlos and Charlie. Supercat. In Super V is Wellcraft Conseco Scarab, a 43-foot Wellcraft. It's powered by two 750 horse-powered inboards. Alexi Sarahazian is the driver. Nigel Hook, the throttle man. Tony Weiss, the navigator. Sponsors include Conseco and Lucas Oil. Crew members Mike Quezzi, Donnie Waddle, Ed Plasko, and Mike Davidson. There's Tommy Bahama going by. Tommy Bahama on the outside. Nigel Hook, the owner of Wellcraft Conseco Scarab. Other competitors in Super V, we've got The Muscle, Shockwave, Pier 57, and of course we saw the Lake Cumberland boat, Kinetics. Right now it's Wellcraft Conseco Scarab. Let's go on board now. Wellcraft Conseco Scarab with Alexei Sarhazian and Nigel Hook. And Tony Weiss, of course, the navigator.
I got the turn in sight, straight in front of us. It's down the inside of the track now. Hit the buoy. Turn up. Give it turn. All the way around. Come around. Come around now. Okay, hit the buoy. Okay. Right there, right there. Right break. Give it straight. Got it. Left, left. Right. Watch out, this boat's stopping. Inside. Okay. That's right, good position.
Tractor helicopter shot, Wellcraft Conseco Scarab. 43-foot Wellcraft. Cat Can Do, a 40-foot skater. Keith Holmes, the driver. Barry Glovic is the throttle man. CK Motorsports, the owner of this 40-foot skater, Cat Can Do. The team would like to give a special thanks to their sponsor, BioClean. Boat powered by two 750 horsepower Baker inboards. Cat Can Do. There's Carlos and Charlie's Don Q and Drambuie on ice. The battle rages on in Supercat. This is the way they started. They're still going. Don Q, Carlos and Charlie's, and Drambuie. Drambuie, #1 right now in Supercat. Don Q is in second, and Carlos and Charlie's in third. 57 is close. Don Q in second place in Supercat. Your leader, Drambuie on ice. Hugh Fuller and John Tomlinson, driver and throttle man for Drambuie on Ice. Your leader in Supercat. There's Don Q in second place in Supercat. Don Q. Don Q with Pat Patel and Felix Sorrellis. Foot skater, Don Q. And Carlos and Charlie's in third. Carlos and Charlie. Jack Carmody and Dan Jackson. Carlos and Charlie's moving up now into second place, going by Don Q. Don Q falling to third. Nice jump there by Carlos and Charles. Don Cube coming back. Amazing, amazing racing here at Daytona Beach. The number of lead changes we've had here in Supercat throughout the day in this race. Around the turn. Carlos and Charlie slowing down. Don Q now picking up and going past Carlos and Charlie's. Carlos and Charlie's with an apparent problem. We don't know what it is. Don Q moving it to second. Here's Pier 57 coming up now. Pier 57 moves into third place. Carlos and Charlie's with a problem. Pier 57, David Woods and Art Lillick. Now, this is the first time that this boat has ever been in the water. Quite a run for Pier 57. In third place in Supercat. Nice jump. Pier 57 and Carlos and Charlie's. Apparently, Carlos and Charlie's is back. Carlos and Charlie's on the outside making this move, trying to come back now, back into third place. Real battle here in Supercat. Pier 57 falling back to fourth place. Carlos and Charlie's trying to come back. Team Virgin. Team Virgin currently in fifth place in Supercat at this point. Drown Buoy on Ice is your leader, followed by Don Hewitt second, and Pier 57 and Carlos and Charlie's fighting it out for third and fourth place there. As we said, Team Virgin is currently in fifth place. Team Virgin sponsors by Eyewear and No Fear. Team Yahoo on the outside there led for many, many laps during this race. So did Carlos and Charlie's. And Don Q and Drambuie on ice are still fighting it out. Drambuie is leading at this point. And Don Q has been up there as well. So the lead has been changed many, many times during this race here in Supercat. Amazing race. In Super V, there is Wellcraft Conseco Scarab with Alexei Sarahazian and Nigel Hook. Driver and throttleman and Tony Weiss the navigator. In Super V. Now this is the last boat that we'll be covering for you as this race winds down, and since we had some delays at the beginning of this race, our helicopter will be going back to the airport fairly soon. Yahoo on the outside. Apparently having some problems. Was leading for a long time in Supercat. Drambuie on ice is your leader right now in Supercat, followed by Don Q. And it looks like Pier 57 is in third place. And that is it, the third and final race here in Daytona Beach at this Daytona Speedway Offshore Grand Prix. First national event for the APBA in this 2001 racing season. Exciting racing, great racing in the Supercat this afternoon. And there, of course, the Daytona Beach and Skyline. Very shortly, we will have the final results for you in this 2001 Daytona Speedway Offshore Grand Prix, part of the APBA 2001 Pro Series Tour. And your winners in Supercat, it was Lake Cumberland Drambuie on ice, followed by Don Q in second and Pier 57 Fountain in third place. Drambuie on ice in first place, getting the checkered flag. Many boats led, but Drambuie on ice came out on top. In Super V, The Muscle, followed by Shockwave, then Snedix, Lake Cumberland in third place. The Muscle getting the checkered flag in Super V. And those are your final results in this third and final race in this Daytona Speedway Offshore Grand Prix. And the story today was the rough water and the great competition in Supercat. The lead changed many, many times. We had Don Q, Carlos and Charlie's Team Yahoo, and of course Drambuie on ice taking first place and swapping it over and over again. We had never seen that before ever in any race of that sort. It was an amazing competition, a great thing to see. So great competition here in Daytona Beach, and of course freeze-frame video is certainly proud to be a part of it. Now before we go, there are a few people that we would like to thank. First off, the entire staff of the APBA for orchestrating a fine event. Of course, our helicopter pilot, Mr. Russell Kilpatrick, and a great job done by Gary and Nancy Johnson, their fine camera work, and Mr. Peter Magnani, our onboard camera installer. On behalf of Jeff Girardi and the rest of the Freeze Frame video production crew, this is Vince Lipari wishing you a fond farewell from Daytona Beach. Hoping to see you real soon at the next APBA national race in Fort Myers. Bye, everyone.